All right, we're going to start with the nation. Quit order. How Buhari shocked ministers and at fake. Some people say, why is this shock all of us? I'm
telling you.
Tinubu optimistic on ticket. Terrorists kill abducted Catholic priest. Truck kills masquerader in Lagos. Government moves to restart talks with ASU. Appeal court sets aside ruling voiding Electoral Act Section 18. No, Act 84, subsection 12, yes. Nigeria's GDP rises by 3.4%, says NBS. Okay, which story are we starting with? Major headline?
Major headline. So yesterday, drama at fake. The president, having received the Minister for State, that's Nwanju Iba's resignation letter, just dragon style to the meeting. So I'd like to read the way the editors in Nation wrote it. He said it was gathered that last night, the decision of the CBN governor to go to court over his presidential ambition fueled the president's anger. So Ibinu, as in vexy. Now he carry come. However, he singled out Nwanju Iba for braving the odds to quit to avoid being accused of conflict of interest. Now, Nwanju Iba incurred the wrath of all other ministers vying for offices. For the provoking
yes, so
that you. So out of all of us,
you're the first to jump and say,
Daddy should like you.
Daddy don't like you now. Tell all of us,
now we are in trouble. Look at you. But really, that's not exactly how it happened. They said that, you know, the chief of staff of the president kept saying to those who had the ambitions to wait for the directive. So Nwanju just looks at which directive? He now carries his own letter past the chief of staff to President JJ I resign. Wow. And so those ones are we looking at. There was a directive they said we should wait for.
I earned it, but it's earned a lot of Nigerians respect
for doing that. Yes, so the federal government has convened a tripartite plus meeting, which is aimed at ending the 83-day strike by university teachers. Now, the Labour Employment Minister, Chris Ngige, will host the meeting. The presidential Muhammadu Buhari's Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, will be the chairman of the meeting. The leadership of ASU and other unions are to attend the meeting. It's going to be happening in Abuja today. Other invited members are the civil society organizations who are going to be in the meeting. So according to the ASU president, they said that the only thing that will take them back into the classroom is when the 2009 agreement is being implemented, and they went ahead to mention most of the things that they are looking for, most of the components of what they have in the meeting, which is the funding for revitalization of the public universities, payment of earned allowances. There's another agreement of, that's the UTAS payment platform that they want. So they also mentioned the fact that when the airline operators decided to go on strike, the federal government quickly ran and attended to them because it was affecting them directly. But now they have had issues over and over, and they keep going back and forth.
Okay, so the former governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, went yesterday to submit his form. You know, yesterday was the closing day. He didn't go alone. Let me tell you one who accompanied him, just to submit one form. Governor of Lagos State was there. The one-time SGA Babashir Lawal was there. Senator Solomon Olamileko Adiola was there. Faleke was there. Yakubu Dogara was there. Ganiu Solomon was there. Dele Adewale was there. To submit one form. They supported Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and then they all went and said, we feel elated today that we have come to submit the winning form. And we have compiled with one of the major requirements. They haven't compiled all the major requirements. And they're sure that the more the merrier. Even there are 100 or 1,000 contestants that are coming to run, that they know that he will definitely win at the delegates. And they're all welcome. We don't mind. The more the merrier. Let them all come. But we've done all that's required. We have submitted the document. So it's interesting that one candidate was one form, one document.
You know, I was talking about the power of influence. Honestly, that's something you can learn from it. But okay. I want to take a sad story of a truck. But I'm taking this story because of the lesson we must all learn. So a truck carrying plywood crushed a masquerader yesterday around on Isolo Road around 2:30 p.m. Now, the truck driver, for whatever reason, maybe the brake failed or something happened, it wasn't like they were speeding, escaped. The truck and the products inside, the wood was set ablaze. And they were actually going to carry out jungle justice against the truck driver. Thankfully, he was able to run into Area D command and it almost became a riot. Traditionalists blocked the expressway. It took the police firing tear gas into the air to disperse the crowd. Oh, wow. I know that many Nigerians don't trust the system, but when we take law into our hands,
it's worse off.
Yes, the problem is that innocent people might die.
Yeah. See,
bystanders, people might lose their properties.
Yes. You know, when we see all these things happening, is a complete breakdown of the local government. Because they are the closest to the people. They need to actually have more connection with the people, where they are constantly educating, sensitizing, helping them understand how to handle things in situations. Because the government can't do so much.
You are have their back.
The local, the yellow jazz, these are the people that are closest to the people. Continue having constant meetings with these young people. That's the breakdown of local government
from doing this.
I don't understand.
They always complain they don't have money.
It's not about money. It's influence. You just talk about influence now.
Yes.
Who is the local government chairman in these areas?
Yes.
What are they doing?
Who are they influencing?
They're the closest to the people.
People trust them.
Moving on quickly to the Punch. Ministers exit ahead primaries. Buhari bows to pressure. APC panel may demand resignation letters. It's true now. Come on, the party. Hoodlum invade Lagos hotel, kill guard, rob JAMB officials. Lagos to demolish 10 more distressed buildings before Sunday. Banks' assets rise by 19%, hit 62.01 trillion naira. Ekiti driver bags life jail for raping student passenger twice. Electoral Act, rep says status quo remains, appeal court voids judgment. INEC plans 3-week suspension of online voter registration. ASU, reps intervene, students shut down Lagos Abeokuta Road. Okay, which stories?
So the protest, the picture story, about 200 ex-military men who fought on the side of Nigeria in the Nigerian Biafra War have staged a protest in Ibadan. They started from Yadi Gate through NTA area, staging the protest and saying that, let me quote the National Coordinator, Babawande Phillips, who said that it was ungodly and wicked to have paid former Biafra soldiers. So we know that the president, and before the end of his first term, issued an order and they paid former Biafra soldiers. And but the Nigerian side of the army said 44 years after, they have not been paid and, they abandoned them. So he calls this ungodly and wicked. And he said that they also served as ex-military men directly under the present president when he was a military administrator himself. And that there's been a 1977 memo by the military government that those who spend 10 years and above should be paid pensions and that they have not been paid. This group of men should please, be paid something. 44 years, I wonder how. Wow. And when we have unresolved issues like that, you have criminality on because the skill that they have, all of that.
And it kills the morale of honest people to continue.
So armed robbers Wednesday killed a security guard identified as Peter during an attack in Mambila Hotel in Ikorodu area. And they said the armed robbers came in about 2:40 a.m. They went into rooms. Every room was attacked, and they were dragging people out, robbing them of their valuables. There were 3 JAMB officials who were staying in that hotel that night. They were all robbed. And by the time they were about getting out, the security guard tried to stop them, and then they shot him. He was rushed to the hospital where he died. So the JAMB official, they've confirmed the story that they are aware, but none of their officials were killed. And the police has started carrying out investigations to find these armed robbers.
Okay, I was going to go on a quick break now. When we come back, we continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, INEC has planned a 3-week suspension of the online voter registration. According to them, it was important to do that to be able to have those who had already registered online to be able to do the physical registration they had to do. So it's one thing to register online. It's another to actually go for the physical accreditation. So they're going to suspend online for 3 weeks while that backlog is sorted and then reopen, hopefully by, I think they mentioned that they gave a date here, suspension on June 30th or May 30th. So according to him, the CVR suspension is scheduled to begin for May 30th.
For 3 weeks.
For 3 weeks, and hopefully, and then the entire registration is supposed to end by 30th of June. Okay. So we have very little time. So those of you who have not registered, please, you need to really hurry up and register now. Let's move on quickly now.
I have a story. Lagos is about to demolish 10 distressed buildings before Sunday this week. So the statement came from the head of Public Affairs Labs, Lagos State Building Control Agency, because if I just use the acronym, people might not know what it means. So Adetayo Ashagba said that 10 buildings, in lieu of the building that collapsed at Jeba in Ebute-Metta, they've listed 10 buildings that are critical condition, that they said anybody living in those buildings needs to vacate. They're not giving you extra time. Now, rainy season imposes more stress on distressed buildings, and the likelihood of collapse increases. So the conversation is now around, we're not going to give you more time because we are worried about living these buildings, and then there's a risk of loss of life when it collapses. Yeah. So the 10 buildings are around that Ebute-Metta area. They listed the buildings and said they're going to demolish before Sunday this week. Okay, moving on quickly to Vanguard. Buhari's order, Wajuba Akpabio Onu resign. Interestingly, Ngige to consult Buhari for clarification. After, I don't understand the clarification the Honorable Minister is looking for. Anyways, 2023, PDP throws presidential ticket open. Over 10 million girls out of school in Nigeria, says UNICEF. Bandits kill over 14 Taraba village attack. ASU strike, Ogun students shut down Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway in protest. 2023 elections, NJC issues fresh policy direction to stop conflicting court orders. Appeal court vacates judgment voiding Section 84, Subsection 12 of the Electoral Act. And ASU begins 2 weeks warning strike May 16th. So, okay.
Appeal court, you know the Abia State court order that said that, you know, the Attorney General should just delete the Section 84, Sub 12 of the Electoral Act. So PDP went to the appeal court to say that, number one, the person that brought the matter to court, continue to do, the person that brought the matter to court, what is his concern inside the matter? So the court ruled on his locus and said the matter did not concern him. He had no basis, no connection to the matter. And, you know, that the court also shouldn't have looked into that matter at all because those preliminary issues were not dealt with. But then the appeal court is now saying, you know, that this Section 84.12 is clashing with a section in the Constitution. It's there, but what the PDP brought before it is what it has ruled on, but it's asking, just on the side, looked into the constitutionality of that section and says there's a clash. So they're now looking for who will now bring another process to come and, who has locus to bring process to come and query. So affected persons like the Minister for Justice and all these several ministers who are compelled by this section to resign. And then, that.
Yes, so the students under the aegis of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NAS, Ogun State Joint Campus Committee yesterday protested along the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway, and they were protesting over the 3-month extension of the ASU strike. They had placards with them. They were screaming, enough is enough, end the strike now. Nigerian students are suffering. And they also mentioned that one of the reasons they feel they're still having this strike is because most of our leaders do not have their children in their schools. Exactly. And if this strike does not end, it's going to cause a lot of insecurity. There will be anarchy. Most of the students will resort to things like prostitution, crime, you know, just because an idle mind is the devil's workshop. And so they are appealing, saying that ASU should be more considerate because sometimes they have even supported ASU in their fight. So this is not the time for them to be dragging heads with the federal government, that they need to go back to school and something has to be done about this. After months of speculation, finally the PDP had their national executive meeting yesterday where they had agreed that David Mark would be the one to chair the Convention Planning Committee, which will be held May 28th at the Eagle Square. More importantly, they've also thrown open the presidential ticket. What that means that all comers are fair, you know, because they were hoping initially,
the south, the
you know,
east,
they were hoping that they would intentionally zone to the southeast. Unfortunately, they've thrown it open. So it's all about, you know, and as just going back to what Umahi said, you know, it's unfair, you know, that, you know, this, because the southeast specifically support, especially PDP. PDP had a huge support from the southeast and south. So there's a lot of discontentment among the parties saying that for you to throw this thing open is very, very unfair. But hey, listen, politics is a game of numbers, and we'll see how that goes.
At this time, it's wrong to not have a place to stand. Stand somewhere.
Yeah.
And they finally not stand.
It's likely going to be both parties throwing it open. I want to take the story of 10 million children out of school. So the United Nations Children Funds, UNICEF, gave a report. this is the Girls Education Project that puts 10 million children out of school. Out of the 18.5 million children out of school, they say 60%, which are girls, representing 10 million, are out of school. Most of them happen to be out of school in the northern part of Nigeria.
Security. So
they said the insecurity challenges, this worsens the challenge of inequality in terms of gender education. So a lot of money has gone into providing funds for education support within the north. And they said this result has brought about 1.4 million girls now having access to education in northern Nigeria. There's a whole lot more that needs to be done with support and working together with the government, developmental partners, parents, community, traditional rulers, and religious leaders. We can achieve more girls' enrollment in school and ensure they complete full education. We're really looking forward to that, but we know we cannot, if we don't solve this, families depend on. Okay. The more we have women educated, the more we reduce propensity of children having to work or suffering unduly due to the fact that there's no empowerment within the home.
Okay, moving on quickly now to the Nigerian Tribune. Buhari's quit order to ministers with 2023 ambition. Security guard killed as robbers attack JAMB official in Lagos hotel. ASU strike. For quick resolution, referred disputes to Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, says Afe Babalola. Appeal court set aside judgment voiding Section 84, subsection 12, taking that story. Buhari's chief of staff, Ngige, to meet ASU today. Jonathan has finally made up his mind to recontest presidency, says the news agency of Nigeria reports. And anger as PDP neck throws presidential ticket open. Okay, is there any story?
So, Jonathan, I found it very funny that, you know, they said barely 48 hours after he disassociated himself, he's now, through his spokesperson, you know, accepted, you know, that he's running because the camp in Bayelsa says that he's now gone to register with the APC in Otuoke, in his ward in Bayelsa State. And so he just said that the president has secured the support of the required APC delegates from across 36 states and he will be running.
Which president?
President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan.
President Goodluck.
Yes.
Wow.
Interesting.
I didn't know you can still pick, you can join a party.
Just commit.
Anyways, I had to go and read up on this clarification that the Honorable Minister of Labour and Employment was saying, Senator, I had to go and check because I'm like, it was pretty clear to me what the president said. So when you need clarification, I didn't understand it. So what he said was that the president had given a window for those that needed clarification on this pronouncement to meet with him privately. So that's what he meant, that, okay, after years, I can't resign just now. Let me go and meet the president to get clarity because he's holding his position.
That one is not even painful. The one that he said, I need to go and consult with my constituents, and I'm wondering...
because he's in trust. Because the position is in trust.
At the time,
you don't know that.
Don't forget the clash.
Yes.
Like when he was taking that day.
When he became minister, because they did not consult constituency.
Quickly, please. Ariel Nakakanfo has advised that the only thing that will solve ASU and the federal government's problem is by arbitration. That they are going to, according to him, he said, I highly recommend that the parties resolve their dispute through alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, particularly arbitration.
Yes.
Arbitration is not only binding and enforceable between the parties, but is also more flexible as it allows parties more level of control in the process, and is generally less expensive. Said this back and forth will not work anymore. They just need to go to, and they are going to, preferably to the Chartered Institute of Arbitration.
As a member, please, refer all matters there.
All right, let's go on a quick break. We're going to come back. It's Thursday. We want our hot topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.